Hello everyone, welcome to the Daily Current Affair Analysis brought to you by Shankar IAS Academy, 12th December 2025. Before getting into the discussion, please make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you haven't, please do subscribe and also hit the bell icon to receive on-time updates from the Academy. And also one more announcement, it is regarding the pre-storming UPSC Prelims series. The batch 4 will be starting on 14th December 2025. Link for the registration is available on the website. Do register and crack the prelims in 2026. And coming to the topics for today's discussion, the first topic is regarding the Aditya L1. So we can see that in 2024 May, the world witnessed a strong solar storm, and now the researchers from the Indian Institute of Astrophysics, using the data from Aditya L1 and also from 6 other satellites, US satellites, we found the reason behind it. And the second article is regarding the 30th India Skill Report. So it is published by the ETS, that is Educational Testing Services. So we'll be discussing what are the key findings. And the next article is regarding Deepavali in UNESCO Intangible Cultural Heritage List. So we know that the 20th session of the UNESCO Intergovernmental Committee for Safeguarding Intangible Cultural Heritage is going on in the Red Fort complex, and now the UNESCO included the Diwali in the Intangible Cultural Heritage List. And the next article, Vellum to Copernicus. So recently the Copernicus, the Earth Observatory Program of European Union and also the World Meteorological Department, they joined to study the rising, the concern about the rising temperature of the world. So we'll be discussing the key findings, and also we'll be discussing what's the importance of adaptation, especially from the local level. And finally, we'll be discussing the prelims focus. If all set, let's begin the discussion with the first article. Aditya L1 in a global effort reveals why the 2024 solar storm behaved unusually. The article is taken from The Hindu. So in the May month of 2024, the world experienced a strong solar storm, and this solar storm is considered as the strongest of the last 2 decades, and this storm is widely known as Ganon storm. And now the researchers from the Indian Institute of Astrophysics, which is located in Bengaluru, using the data from the Indian Solar Observatory Aditya L1 and also data from the other 6 satellites launched by the USA, studied the reason behind the strong solar storm of the 2024. So in this background, let us discuss more about this article. But before understanding about the research, we have to understand about the coronal mass ejection. See, we have done a video about the superheated corona of the sun, and it is posted on it was posted on 2nd November. So you can go through that video to get the basic understanding about the sun. So we know that the sun has 3 major atmospheric layers: photosphere, which is a visible surface layer of sun with the temperature approximately 5500 degrees Celsius, while the outermost layer of the sun, that is the corona, here the temperature will go up to 1 to 2 million degrees Celsius. So in that video we discussed what is the reason behind the superheating of the corona. So in that video we discussed 2 major phenomena, that is alpha wave and the second is magnetic reconnection. So to understand about this article, understanding about the magnetic reconnection is very important. We'll discuss that, but for better clarification, you can go through that video also. And so what is the reason behind that the strong solar storm of the 2024? The reason is magnetic reconnection on the way to Earth. But before understanding about the magnetic reconnection, we have to understand about the coronal mass ejection. Coronal mass ejection is nothing but the ejection of particles, plasma, and charged gas bubble from the sun. And this gas bubble will have, this coronal mass ejection will have a twisted magnetic structure, and that is known as magnetic rope. That structure is known as magnetic rope. So this magnetic reconnection, so the twisting, breaking, and the reconnection of the magnetic field of the sun is known as magnetic reconnection. And this magnetic reconnection has a capacity to release intense energy, and that is the reason, that is one of the reasons behind the superheating of the corona. So this coronal mass ejection also has a twisted magnetic structure known as magnetic rope. So now we will understand why the 2024 solar storm was stronger. So you can see that during that time, 2 coronal mass ejections on the way to Earth, they collided. As a result, the magnetic rope inside the structure got inside the coronal mass ejection got twisted, broke, and reconnected. So I already mentioned that the reconnection of the magnetic field or the magnetic structure can release intense energy. So that is the reason behind the strong solar storm of the 2024. And when we know that when this magnetic rope, usually in the usual case, when the magnetic rope interacts with the earth magnetic field, it will lead to geomagnetic storm, and that is why we are experiencing power disruption, aurora, and disruption in GPS and communication during the time of solar flare or during the time of solar storm. And in 2024 also, on the way to earth, two coronal mass ejections, they collided. As a result, they compressed, and the internal twisted magnetic structure of one of the coronal mass ejections got again broke and reconnected. And this magnetic reconnection, when this twisted structure interacted with the earth magnetic field, that made the 2024 solar storm the strongest of the last 2 decades. I hope you understood. So now we will discuss why this discovery is important. The first, it provides a better understanding about the space weather forecasting. So understanding about the space weather is very important to protect the infrastructure and to keep the daily life uninterrupted. So you can see that due to the strong solar flare or during the time of strong solar storm, we may experience disruption in satellite communication, power grid, and GPS and all. So understanding the weather for the space weather is very important to protect the infrastructure. And the second is the global scientific collaboration. So we can see that the researchers from the Indian Institute of Astrophysics used the data from Aditya L1, and at the same time they used data from 6 other satellites launched by the USA. So this is showing how a global collaboration or the collaboration between the nations will help us to understand more about the space. And the next, strengthening India's leadership in the space research. So we can see that the study is done by the researchers, and that too Indian researchers from the Indian Institute of Astrophysics. So this is another step towards our showing our leadership in the space research. And coming to the prelims practice question, the question is, consider the following statements regarding 2024 solar storm and coronal mass ejection. Statement 1, a coronal mass ejection consists mainly of charged particles and magnetic fields ejected from the sun's corona. Statement 2, geomagnetic storm occurs when the coronal mass ejections magnetic field strongly interact with the earth magnetosphere. And statement 3, the 2024 solar storm was classified as a G5 geomagnetic storm, the highest category used by the National Ocean and Atmospheric Administration. It is an organization in the United States. And statement 4, the coronal mass ejections travel at the speed of light from the sun to earth, causing immediate geomagnetic disturbances. Which of the statements above are correct? Option A, 1 and 2 only, option B, 1, 2 and 3 only, option C, 1, 3 and 4 only, and option D, 2, 3 and 4 only. So from our discussion, we can see that the first statement is correct. Coronal mass ejection mainly consists of charged particles, and also the magnetic field, that is the twisted magnetic structure known as magnetic rope. So the statement 1 is correct. And coming to the statement 2, geomagnetic storms, when geomagnetic storms occurs when a coronal mass ejections magnetic field strongly interact with the earth magnetosphere. Yes, that is correct. So we already discussed that when the magnetic structure inside this coronal mass ejection, when they interact with the earth magnetic field, it leads to a lot of that is the reason behind the geomagnetic storm, and that can disrupt the power grid, disruption of communication. We discussed that. So the statement 2 is also correct. And while the statement 3, 2024 solar storm was classified as G5 geomagnetic storm, the highest category used by the National Ocean and Atmospheric Administration. That is also correct. And final question, the coronal mass ejections travel at the speed of light from the sun to earth. See, the traveling at the speed of light is possible only for light or lighter protons like photons, which is the major component of the light. So coronal mass ejections, they cannot travel at the speed of light. So the statement 4 is incorrect, while all the 3 statements are correct. So the correct answer is option B, 1, 2 and 3 only. Let's check. Yes. With this, we will move to the next article. 30th India Skill Report. The article is taken from Press Information Bureau. So what is India Skill Report? So recently the ETS, that is the Educational Testing Service, an international education and talent solution platform, they released the India Skill Report. It is an annual publication of the ETS. So this report will provide key insight on trend skill among the skill trend among the youth people, pattern of employment, and also the skills demanded by the industry or the market. So what are the key findings from this report? So the report, for the preparation of the report, they used the the periodical labor force survey findings from 2023-24. So we know that periodical labor force survey, it is conducted by the national sample survey under the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, and we took, for the preparation of the India Skill Report, we took the data from 23-24, and as per the data, the unemployment rate in India got reduced from 6% to 3.2% between 2017-18 and 23-24. And coming to the vocational or technical training between the age group of 15 and 59, we can see that nearly 4% of them received the training from formal source, while 30.6% of them received training from informal source. So from this, we can understand that there is a rising demand for skill in the market, and at the same time, most of them are getting the skill course from the informal source. So it is a time to boost the formal source of training too. And coming to the India as a global skill hub, so we can see that India is emerging as a preferred destination for global capability centers. Global capability centers are the centers or the are the setup done by the MNCs for the for their for the better functioning and the production. And India, especially with a huge youth population, we have a huge scope in the coming days. And we can see that India, like I mentioned, India is emerging as a destination for global capability centers because we have a large young population, and that too skilled, and most of them knows English. And what are the initiatives taken by the India to promote the skilled manpower of India? We have launched various schemes. For example, we have the Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana to provide industry related skill program for the youth population. So like that, we have also signed various memorandum of understanding and a bilateral agreement with the different nations. We have signed a mobility and a migration partnership agreement for the better mobility of the skilled manpower from India to different countries, and from that countries to this country. And then we have signed a skill development corporation framework with the different platforms, and also with the different countries. For example, you might have heard about the platform called India Skill Accelerator. So this platform is established under the collaboration of Indian government and also the World Economic Forum. So coming to the some of the key bilateral agreements that government of India signed to promote the skilled manpower in India. The first is migration and mobility partnership agreement with Italy and Germany, which includes provisions regarding the mutual recognition of qualification and certification. So what is the importance of this? Just imagine that you are going to apply for a company in Germany or Italy without this migration or any such agreements. So what happens? After reaching a particular stage of the application, the institution that you are going to work, they will ask you to complete a course on this position from the recognized institution that the Germany or the Italian government recognized. So what happens? Again, you have to spend lakhs of money to do that course. But if we have an agreement like this, for example, a migration and mobility partnership agreement, and through that agreement, the countries can mutually recognize the qualification and certification. In that case, we can avoid such complex procedures or such formalities. And the second, we have signed the bilateral skill agreement with the 8 countries that includes Australia, Denmark, France, Germany, Japan, Qatar, Singapore, and United Arab Emirates. And the major focus of these agreements are exchange of technical support, collaborative training for skilling and empowerment, benchmarking of qualification, the object like I mentioned here, that means mutually recognizing the qualification and certification, and finally sharing of best practices for better empowerment and development. So these are the major focus of bilateral agreement with the 8 countries. And coming to the prelims practice question, the question is, consider the following statements regarding 30th India Skill Report 2025. Statement 1, the India Skill Report is an annual publication of Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. Statement 2, migration and mobility partnership agreements with Germany and Italy includes provisions for mutual recognition of qualification. So which of the above statements are correct? Option A, 1 only, option B, 2 only, option C, both 1 and 2, and option D, neither 1 nor 2. So from our discussion, we can see that the Skill India report is not published by the Ministry of Skill Development. It is published by the ETS, that is Educational Training Service, and a global organization for education and talent solution. So the statement 1 is incorrect, while the statement 2 is correct. So the correct answer will be option B, too early. With this, we will move to the next article. Deepavali inscribed on UNESCO's Intangible Cultural Heritage List. The article is taken from The Hindu. So we know that the 20th session of the UNESCO's Intergovernmental Committee for Safeguarding Intangible Cultural Heritage is going on in Red Fort Complex in New Delhi, and this is the first time India hosting the UNESCO Intergovernmental Committee session. And you can see that in this session, through hosting the session, India were planning to make 2 new nominations to the Intangible Cultural Heritage List. The first one was the Chat Mahaparva or the Chat Puja, and the second one was the Diwali. And now Diwali got recognition from the UNESCO. So UNESCO recognized the Diwali as a living cultural heritage because they highlighted that the festival plays a crucial role in strengthening the social and the community bond, supporting traditional craftsmanship, particularly the potters, artisans, and decor makers. And according to UNESCO, the Diwali also plays a crucial role in reinforcing the values of generosity, well-being, and cultural harmony. And what is the and also one more thing, the Diwali is contributing to certain SDG, that is Sustainable Development Goals. That includes enhancement of livelihood, promotion of gender equality, promotion of cultural education, and also community welfare. And what is the response from the government of India? So the PM office responded that the inclusion will enhance the global recognition for the festival. And they also stated that the Diwali symbolizes illumination and righteousness, that reflecting the soul of Indian civilization. And the response from the Indian cultural minister, so he called this moment as a moment of immense pride for India, and also recognized the contribution of millions who helped the society, the Indian society, to sustain the festival. That includes potters, artisans, households who are maintaining the tradition, farmers, and also the sweet makers. And coming to the role of Indian diaspora, so we can see that the Indian diaspora played a crucial role in globalizing the Deepavali. And now these days the Diwali is widely celebrated across Southeast Asia, Africa, Gulf nations, Europe, and also in Caribbean. So this is definitely, it will boost the India's soft power. So coming to the importance of UNESCO Intangible Cultural Heritage listing. So we can say that so far the UNESCO has recognized or listed nearly 15 Indian elements in the list. That includes yoga, Kumbh Mela, Ramlila play, and Chow dance. And you can see that chanting, the Buddhist chanting of Ladakh and all. And this is a 16th element. This is the 16th element. So definitely the listing of the elements will help us to protect and preserve the traditional cultural practices. And under the 2003 Intangible Cultural Heritage Convention, the listing the elements will definitely help to boost the international cooperation for preservation of culture. See, this Intangible Cultural Heritage Convention was established in 2003, and later in 2005 India recognized the convention, and this is the first time we are hosting the session. And it enhances the India's global cultural profile because we are known for our diversity, right? And you can see that it will also boost the cultural tourism. It will contribute to rural livelihood, particularly to the potters, artisans, and weavers. And coming to the prelims practice question, the question is: consider the following statements regarding UNESCO's Intangible Cultural Heritage List. Statement 1: only cultural heritage, cultural expressions already codified in written form are eligible for inscription under the UNESCO Intangible Cultural Heritage Convention. Statement 2: Deepavali was inscribed on UNESCO's representative list of intangible cultural heritage in 2025 during the committee session held in New Delhi. So we can see that the statement 1 is incorrect. Only the cultural expressions already codified in written form are eligible for inscription under the UNESCO ICH convention. No such criteria. So the statement 1 is incorrect. Well, the statement 2 we discussed just now, it is correct. So the correct answer will be option B, 2 only. With this, we will move to the next article. From Vellum to Copernicus, the unfolding climate challenge. The article is taken from Indian Express. So this article is talking about a comparative study done by the Copernicus, the Earth Observatory Program of the European Union, and also the World Meteorological Organization. So what is the finding? The finding or the major concern is that the globe has crossed or breached the threshold of 1.5 degrees Celsius. So we know that in 2015, the world signed the Paris Agreement to limit the global temperature within this 1.5 degrees Celsius, comparing with the pre-industrial level. That means if the pre-industrial global average temperature was 20 degrees Celsius, just imagine, then we should work to limit the global temperature within 1.5 degrees Celsius, that is within 21.5 degrees Celsius. But now we can see that the comparative study done by the World Meteorological Organization and the Copernicus found that now the world has crossed this threshold and there is no going back. So the only way before us is adaptation, boosting the adaptation. Let us discuss more. So the major concern is the rising global temperature. So we can see that between 2023 and 2025, for the first time, the year consistently the 3 years crossed the threshold of 1.5 degree Celsius, as per the study done by the Copernicus. And you can see that between 2015 and 16 and 2025 will be the warmest decade since mid 19th century, according to the study done by the World Meteorological Organization. And you can see that according to the study of the World Meteorological Organization, the year 2025 is the warmest without El Nino, and that too with the La Nina. So the La Nina will be giving a cooling effect, while the El Nino will be giving a warming effect across the world. But in 2025, the El Nino is in negative phase and the La Nina is in positive phase. But at the same time, the year 2025 is warmest, and the January of 2025 is the warmest January ever recorded. And coming to the understanding about the Paris 1.5 degree Celsius target. So we can see that, like I already mentioned in the beginning, the world has crossed and there is no point of return. But what we can do? The only only way before us is boosting the adaptation. So what were the outcomes? So the recent step to ensure the climate justice was done or was held in the Belém in Brazil, and that is known as COP30. So what were the key outcomes? So we acknowledged that now the world has entered or breached the threshold of 1.5 degrees Celsius. So what were the key outcomes from the Belém? So the first is the nations agreed to triple the adaptation finance for the next 10 years, and that with a special focus on small island and developing nations. And the major focus of the Belém was improving COP30 was improving resilience to heat waves, cyclones, flood, and storm. And like I mentioned, the most important focus is given to the small and middle income, small island and developing countries, and also the vulnerable communities. And the persisting challenge here, also the persisting challenge is same, that is mobilization of fund and also the effective allocation or the utilization of the fund. So coming to the mitigation versus adaptation, why the local action matters. So like I mentioned, the world has already crossed the threshold. So the only way is boosting the adaptation along with the mitigation. So and there comes the importance of action from the local level. So we can see that whether it will be a climate change, whether let it be a climate change or health crisis or a war, every time the people in the lower strata will be affected first. So here also we have to start the action from the lower strata or from the local level to ensure the climate justice. So the mitigation can be has to be planned from from local to regional to national and global level, and that will be dealing with the emission reduction and the energy transition. And coming to the adaptation also, here also we have to focus more on the localized measures. For example, establishment of heat shelters to protect the region from the phenomena like heat waves, flood barriers to protect the region from flash flood or sudden flood, especially the regions on the river bank, and the cyclone resilient infrastructure construction based on Japanese technology or Dutch model. And it also requires intersectional planning, especially for urban design, agriculture, and water management. And you can see that here also the major challenge is the persisting disconnection or the gap between the scientific data, policy, and the ground level action. So in the Belém, in the Belém, the nations agreed to triple the adaptation fund, but the gap is mobilization and is between the mobilization and effective utilization of the fund. So here also we have a scientific data, we have good policymakers and planners, and but the problem is the persisting gap between all these sections. And coming to the Copernicus and World Meteorological Organization data, implication. So we can see that the consistent temperature in this threshold will lead to rising heat wave mortality. So the temperature is already crossed the threshold, so therefore it will lead to heat wave mortality. So heat wave means abnormal high temperature persisting in a particular region for a period of time. So the heat wave can lead to various issues like cardiac arrest and all, especially in old age population, and also the children are also vulnerable to heat waves. agricultural loss, due to salinization, due to drought and all, and infrastructure vulnerability, and urban heat island, effect intensification. That means the urban area around the region, around the rural area. So sorry, the urban area comparing with the rural area will be recorded high temperature, and hereafter it will be intensified if the persisting temperature is going like this. And the next is, this is highlighting the research or the data is highlighting the need for climate resilient infrastructure, especially green parks and green model construction and all, and the early warning system, especially to deal with the cold wave, heat wave, and the cyclone. Climate smart agriculture for better prediction and to enhance the precision. And the next is localized disaster preparedness. That includes training, drill from the community level, and also implementation of the local ideas to deal with the climate change. And coming to the way forwards, so what are the areas we need to prioritize? Strengthening the local institutions to absorb the climate finance. So the problem is, getting fund from the state government itself is the biggest challenge these days. So therefore, strengthening the local institution to absorb the climate finance is very important in the coming days to ensure the climate justice from the lower strata. Create robust monitoring of the fund utilization. So one of the challenges in regarding the funding is effective utilization of the fund and a better allocation of the fund. So creating a monitoring system to ensure the fund utilization. Integrating scientific data into district level planning. So especially for urban planning, infrastructure construction, especially the climate resilient infrastructure construction. For that we can use this. And the next is building communities adaptive capacity, especially at the in the global south. So coming to the mains practice question, the question is, the recent Copernicus and the World Meteorological Organization observations indicate that the world is entering a near permanent 1.5 degrees Celsius zone. In this context, critically examine the shift from mitigation focused climate policy to strengthening climate adaptation at the local level. So it's a 10 marks question and you have to write around 150 words. Write the answer and post it in the comment section. We will review and we will reply for your answer. Now it's time to move to the next article. So coming to the prelims focus, the first topic is Tongale Sari. So we know that the 20th session of the UNESCO Intergovernmental Committee for Safeguarding of the Intangible Cultural Heritage is going on in the Red Fort complex in New Delhi. We have done a separate article on this. You can check out the current affair analysis from Tuesday. So in this occasion, the Bangladesh secured recognition for the Tongale Sari weaving tradition. See, this Tongale is actually a district in Bangladesh known for handloom tradition and a distant dialect. So in this Tongale dialect, this A will be pronounced as O. So that is why it is not Tangale, it is Tongale. So and the craft person will be mostly using cotton or silk for the manufacturing of the sari. And the major feature of the sari are floral or geometric motif, and other features includes lightweight, soft texture, elegant border, and vibrant colors. And coming to the cultural significance, the sari is mainly worn during festival, special occasion and wedding, and that is also symbolizing Bengali identity and art history. And you can see that what is the significance of this UNESCO recognition. So through this we are providing a global recognition to the weavers of Tongale who worked for nearly 2 centuries to perfect this craft. And coming to the India's geographical indication tag for Tongale Sari of Bengal. So we can see that in 2024, India granted this geographical indication tag for Tongale Sari of Bengal, and that was awarded to the West Bengal State Handloom Weavers Cooperative Society Limited. And India justified that this this GI we granted GI because India justified that for decades this production of the the Tongale sari is done by the migrant workers from Bangladesh. But Bangladesh, they criticized this granting of geographical indication to the Tongale sari of Bengal because Bangladesh saw this as an Indian infringement into the Bengal heritage. And the next topic is Sri C. Rajagopalachari. So we know that he was the last Governor General of India, and he is also a freedom fighter, thinker, and intellectual statesman. He was born on 10th December 1878. So this December marks the birth anniversary of Sri Rajagopalachari. He was born in Salem, which is located in then Madras province, which is now located in Tamil Nadu. And coming to his political life, he was a close associate of Mahatma Gandhi. He met Mahatma Gandhi in 1919, and after that meeting, he left his legal career and joined the freedom fight. And you can see that he participated in the Rowlatt Satyagraha against the Rowlatt Act, non-corporation movement, Vaikam Satyagraham, and also in the civil disobedience movement. And you can see that between 1912 and 1941, he was imprisoned for nearly 5 times for his role in freedom struggle. And you can see that he served as a premier of the erstwhile Madras province, and he founded the Swatantra Party. And he was the last Governor General and the only Indian to hold the post. And later in 1954, he was awarded Bharat Ratna for his contribution in politics, literature, and public service. So coming to the prelims practice question, the question is the traditional Tongil sari, often mentioned in the context of South Asian textile heritage, is known for which of the following distinctive features? Option A, extra weft motif worn with the Jala technique, originally developed by the weavers from Tongil region of Bangladesh. Option B, heavy brocade pattern produced using metallic yarn like zari and kalbattu. And option C, tie and dye techniques similar to Bandhani work of Western India. And option D, resist dye block printing practiced mainly by the artisan clusters of Rajasthan. So we have discussed the Tongil region, right? Tongil region is a district in Bangladesh known for this, handloom tradition and a distant dialect. So from the option, we can easily find the answer. The answer is option A. So Jala technique means manual or handloom technique. That it is mean by Jala technique. So they will be using complex handloom, to for the manufacturing of this sari. So the correct answer here is option A. So with this, we are coming to the conclusion for the prelims focus. With this, we are coming to the conclusion for today's current affair analysis. If you like the video, hit the like button, give your feedbacks as comments, and share this content with your friends. And before leaving this channel, don't forget to subscribe and also hit the bell icon to receive on-time updates from the Academy. Thank you for listening to us. Thank you for listening to me. Have a nice day.